Claim Your Career Crown podcast. Yeah. I am your host, Lynn Whitbeck, and today I'm joined by our special guest, Mayo Best. And we're going to be talking about optimize and automate, how to embrace efficiency in your business. Practical strategies that streamline your processes, save time, and boost productivity enable you to focus on what matters most in your business. And if you get a ton of value out of this episode, I would love to invite you to subscribe because it costs nothing to subscribe. Now, I want to tell you about our amazing guest today, Mayo. He is the founder and CEO of Blitz Business Development Firm, specializing in revenue optimization, business growth, and financial strategy. Now, under his leadership, they've developed innovative solutions like the Revenue Booster Program and the Blitz Business Diagnostic, helping businesses maximize profitability and streamline operations. With expertise across industries such as healthcare, construction, and e commerce, Mayo empowers businesses to secure funding, optimize revenue streams, and prepare for scalable growth. His forward thinking approach integrates automation, AI driven analytics, and market intelligence, ensuring that clients stay competitive. And Mayo, that is just so incredible. And I love what you do, and you are amazing. So I'm so glad you're here. Welcome, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna have to put you in my wheel and definitely put you. Gonna have to add you to as a spokesperson. Thank you so much. It's wonderful being here, and thank you for having me. Actually,
Well, I am so glad you're here. And I know that I actually don't am not aware of your backstory or sort of like what got you started, what inspired you to follow this path of really optimizing and automating businesses.
yes. Well, I'll try to make that as brief as possible. You know, a lot of what I do and the way I've developed and allowed my business to evolve is to one listening to it and also a lot of experience. And I don't mean all good experiences. I like to think that what I have created now is really kind of a, a synthesized version of what to do after learning what not to do for quite some time. Many mistakes were made in the beginning of my journey. But that, along with the idea of really paying attention and being very value centric, as I like to think that I actually am when it comes to my clients. My story really starts from making a lot of mistakes as a business owner, analyzing why those mistakes were made, and seeing things no better or worse than they actually are, but seeing things as they are, and using that both for my personal experience as well as for my clients earlier on when I just did business coaching, and really paying attention to that and using that to drive innovation as to how I'm going to help solve those problems that I have firsthand experience dealing with, and problems that after you look at a whole bunch of clients and you start seeing that everybody's really having the same problem. Let's stop talking about the problem. Let's start figuring out how we can solve these issues so that business owners can have a paradigm shift in how they approach their businesses. So maybe that's the 30,000 foot drop. If you want me to go deeper, I can, but you let me know.
That's really great because I do agree with you. So much can be learned from the mistakes. And even in mistakes, some of the things did go right. It's just sort of like sorting, what what went well, what could be refined on, and what needs to just be pitched and so
Yeah, yeah,
and rebuilt.
yeah,
But that's the beauty. It's usually not, there's a whole bunch of areas of gray, right?
yeah.
And I also liked what you said about a paradigm shift because that's one of the things that is really can be a struggle for many business owners is they can't see outside of their own blinders. And
Yes.
that includes how they embrace the mindset and the structure for better efficiency in their business. So I'd love to hear how you help them, move and shift.
Great. This is going to probably get me in a little bit of trouble, right? But I'm no stranger to trouble for my business. So in 2020, I literally destroyed on purpose my business. And the reason why I did that is because I realized that traditional coaching and consulting has limitations. And there were things in the solutions that I knew that my clients could use, but ethically, I couldn't tell them about it, or I couldn't really give my entire self to my clients in the way I wanted it to. So I said, you know what? The hell with it. I'm going to destroy the way I'm doing, which is the conventional way, and do it my way. So that means moving forward, the way that I look at business, I look at the problems through the respect of every business owner that I've ever come in contact with. Everybody wants to be as successful as they can, right? But here's the problem. Today, we have so many distractions. So it creates an issue because on one end, it's weird because we have so many solutions to the problems that we have in business by way of technology, like AI and automations and stuff like that, right? But at the same time, the problem in business is that you also need to be focused, and you need to be able to focus on the areas of your business that move revenue and that move the needle of growth. And the problem is, if you're a sole proprietor, which most of us are, you don't have a big team to do R&D, you don't have anybody to specialize in anything, because that's you. And as you said before, the term we like to use to frame what you said earlier, which is, it's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. I mean, let's go back and look at what social media did to us as business owners, trying to figure out which social media platform you should be on. What are the algorithms this week? How do I not lose my shirt when Google decides to change their algorithm and I lose my entire business now because I'm now on the wrong algorithm? Or whether or not Facebook has some new rule that says now you can't market your business. Like, it's always constantly changing. And these are industries and businesses and jobs in and of themselves. So if you are, let's say you're an electrician or you're a plumber or you have some type of a tax service or whatever the business may be, you don't really have the bandwidth to take and then learn just one of these sort of modalities to get your business to the next level. You literally have to hire someone, but sometimes we don't because we can't afford it. So we take this stuff on. So my approach to efficiency is, listen, let's take some of these hats off of your head. Let's get back to that genius zone when you first started that company, right? You had that great idea, and then you got the second great idea, which was to put on the CEO hat, then the admin hat, and then next thing you know, you're wearing 9 hats. And now these hats are becoming more complicated. Okay, these hats are now starting to derive into other hats. At Blitz, what we're looking to do is help you get back to that genius zone by actually doing something that everybody else is telling you the opposite, which is learn AI. We're saying, no, let us handle the aspects of AI that's going to work best for your business, that's going to assist you in moving those needles. I know that's a little counterintuitive because everybody wants to touch the new shiny object, right? Because, and I get it, trust me. I spent days getting lost in AI with the marketing and stuff like that. But quite frankly, we don't do anything with AI for the most part. It's not our specialization. We like to take and say, how can we best serve the client from an internal perspective using data, okay, in assistance with AI to help them have insights and make moves within their business that helps them navigate things like the economic backdrops. How do we deal with supply chain issues? How do we deal with things that's going to help these businesses get to the next level without bogging them down with all the shiny objects that honestly don't really help them to move the needle in their business that they are in. Because I'll stop by saying this last thing. If you are that tax professional, it's not going to do you but so much good to learn a whole lot about how to work in Dolly. And trust and believe, you can spend months trying to get good in just one aspect of this stuff. Okay, that's not going to serve you, and that's not going to help you grow your company. So we're saying, let us help you with this. Let us not give you another hat. Let's help you take that hat off to move towards your efficiency. I know that's a long way of answering that question, but that's the best I can do.
No, well, I totally get it, and I agree because, I'm gonna full disclosure, we are live streaming right now, but I can barely make a post on Facebook. So, yes,
Right.
yes, you can all laugh, but I have somebody a team member who's really good at it, and I don't need to know. I mean, I honestly
Right.
do not need to know.
Right.
And same thing with our website. I couldn't make a change on our WordPress website short of someone holding a gun to my head, maybe and I'd have to figure it out. But
Right.
I don't need to know. As a business owner,
Right.
there are things that you delegate
Right.
to the experts to manage it. And to your point, I loved what you talked about with the shiny object, because that is a massive distraction. And, I believe that AI is a very powerful tool, but it is not an easy button. And if
Right.
I hear one more person saying, oh, you just push this and you get exactly what you need to say to your ideal client, I will scream,
Right.
because that's taking all of your authentic self, your unique business,
Yes.
everything out of it. It's just, and you're getting whatever garbage is out there in the world. And you will then be swimming in a sea of sameness. And so if you use, that's why you hire experts who know exactly how to help you use the tool correctly so that it is truly powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, I just had to get off on that because that is
No, thank you.
one thing I encounter so much. I just have to push this button on AI and I get what I need, and I'm going, and it's garbage. And
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it will write an email for me, it will write a blog post for me, and it's garbage. Nobody's going to read it. There is no personality. It's not infotaining. It's
Yes.
not your thoughts and your creativity.
Can I add one thing to that, Lynn, if you
Yeah,
don't mind?
yes.
Because this is so huge, and I want your audience, regardless of who they work with this, this is very important. I think, and I'm 48 years old. I don't mind saying it. I'm starting to age a little bit, but I'm actually grateful because I have a certain perspective now that keeps technology within a perspective and lens that I think we kind of need now. And I think I'm just blessed and fortunate to have been born in the time I was to capitalize. And where I'm going with this is this. I honestly see AI and businesses and automation, what we're talking about today, it's much more art form than people actually realize.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that you have to be careful. And I'm saying this to your audience. Be careful that you do not automate away your value.
Yeah.
Okay. There are certain things, there are certain processes that you can totally automate that you shouldn't.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a just because you can doesn't mean you should type situation. And this is where you need human discernment. Because the one thing that we have to realize is that although technology is evolving at a very, very rapid pace that we can not even come close to keeping up with, as humans, we're pretty much the same that we've been the last 2,000, 3,000 years, if not more. We are not changing in our abilities to be able to consume and even adapt, which is the big word here, are not keeping pace with the creation and the evolution of all these different technologies. So remember, people, folks, remember that you want to keep certain aspects of your business, just like Lynn said. You want to don't automate that away. That is your value. That's what AI can't replace, is that high touch kind of kinesthetic approach that you may have with your clients that it may be something that you can reduce something. Now, I'll be honest, we have a pretty decent length of a onboarding process, but that onboarding process allows for us to build so much value with our prospective clients that they become clients by the time we're done, because we've taken the time to get to know, like, and trust them, and they trust us. And by the time we're done, we could have automated that in 5 minutes, but it's invaluable to our business and our LTV. So be
Yeah.
careful with the automation.
Yeah. Yeah. For right now, it's still human beings who make the decision to buy and
Yeah.
who make the decision to engage with your business. And it's those relationships
Yes.
that are truly going to stand the test of time
Yes.
and serve you well as you're growing your business. But to your point, there's still so many different areas that you can and should be automating and optimizing.
Yes.
Absolutely take advantage where it makes sense.
Hmm.
And so, I mean, you talked a lot about the process of doing that, but maybe you could give us one little mini example
Sure. Sure.
about something where you talked about your onboarding. So there's certain aspects of that that you have automated, but other pieces that are still the human to human connection. So
Right.
maybe we use that.
Sure. So, like for instance, with our onboarding process, when we do a blitz diagnostic, and we do use AI to assist us in that. The front end of that, and this is the part that requires the human nuance. In the front end of that, it's a bunch of questions. Now, we could take those questions and give those questions to the client and say, listen, fill this out
Yeah.
and send it back to us. We can then take that data and then send it to AI, okay, ChatGPT, after we've created a prompt, have it to analyze it, all right, and then give us back the feedback or the solution that we want to present to the client. That is a way that you can actually automate things, right? Do, like for instance, your forms. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm answering the question. So yes, you can take your forms and questionnaires that you may have, assessments. Take those forms and those assessments. Take the data that you capture. We can take from there, have that feed into a Chat GPT based prompt, okay, that we have created, and then filter that data into, let's say, it could be a Google document or it could be an Excel document, right? And then we can use that data to do whatever we want to do with it from that point. So these are just small examples as to how you can automate. The part that requires nuance is knowing what part of that process you actually want to automate, because
Yeah.
everything I just explained is what we could do, but we don't. So this is where I would recommend that you, if you're not familiar with the actual automation process, you're going to want to get an audit, to really have someone that knows what they're doing to sit down with you to really kind of help you navigate this and figure this out, if that helps.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I totally understand what you're talking about because there are ways. So, like in a discovery call, one of the powers of asking the question and listening, you can use AI to record the conversation, right? So, you've got that. But the beauty is that I can then say, well, Mayo, tell me more.
Mm-hmm.
Help me understand. I'm curious about that because often the second answer actually comes deeper and it's more, it's really getting to that core. Whereas if you just ask them to fill out a questionnaire on some of these key points, there it's going to be very off the cuff, high level, quick and dirty. How can I get it done? So when
Right.
you're using a form, you have to think about what's the purpose of that form. If it's really to gather critical discovery information about what's going on in their business and how you're going to be able to serve and help them, then that human to human conversation, but then taking the AI, here's what's beautiful about that. Now you can do all the things that you were just talking about, but that also you've been doing relationship building because you've
Right.
been listening to them, you've been hearing them. And so I just really like what you had to say, and I'm just concurring. So let's move to the next thing, and that is why optimization and automation can be such a challenge for so many business owners. And we sort of touched on it, but let's
Mhm.
go a little deeper.
Sure. So this is where it can get hairy because there's so many different softwares out. There's so many different companies developing different tools. So the the thing about it is you want to first identify. Let me see if I can add a little bit more value to this by giving some specifics in terms of a sort of a methodical approach. So the first thing I would do is I take a look at, well, what is it that you're doing, period. So this is kind of an audit in and of itself, auditing what your normal day-to-day tasks are. Let's just say that's emails. We'll use some as an example. Now, what's going to really help you is there are softwares you can use. There are many of them. And what you would do is pick a software, okay, that you can use. And I believe that Gemini 2.0, I think, is now offering interactivity with your email. So that type of a software is going to allow for you to take your emails, and instead of you spending so much time, having to craft a perfect email, Gemini is going to show you an example as to what you could say in this situation. Now, this is actually kind of funny because some of us really, really probably need this, especially in those hairy moments to where you might want to say a lot of things that you shouldn't, and you might want to curse somebody out, but you really don't want to, but you really don't know how to say what you need to say and get the assertiveness across without the venom attached. So
Yeah.
these types of things, sometimes AI can be really good at being extremely diplomatic and speaking around things. And if you ever want to see how well this works, because I've actually tried this, write a horrible letter and put all that venom and all those things you want to say, and then let it filter through AI and let it change it for you. It is hilarious how it will actually change it and filter out, give you that diplomacy that you're looking for without probably losing that client or maybe losing your job. And
Uh,
that is a tool, and that's one way that you can use it. But audit what you're doing from your email, your calendars, okay? Um, Audit the tasks that are the most mundane but time consuming. And those two are one of the biggest ones: calendar, email.
yeah.
There are many softwares you can use that's going to help you with that. Like there's one called Motion. That's kind of new. Motion, not Notion, but Motion.
Yeah.
Motion is new. Motion will help you with organizing your time and your calendar and your task management and so forth. So that would be a frame of approach, is to do an audit on the things that you're doing, and then just run a search for AI softwares that can assist you with time management, assist you with emails. And that's one way to look at it. Does that answer the question?
Well, it does, but I have to tell you that the one thing that comes to my mind is, well, what would hold business owners back? And it's like, oh, like throw up my arms, like, oh my gosh, I have to learn something or figure this out, where they
Mm,
really need to work with trusted advisors
mhm.
who can direct them to these tools like you just mentioned. But
Right.
maybe I'm making an assumption about what holds business owners back. So what does hold business owners back about pursuing these types of automation and optimization?
Great question. I think there's actually, it could be a couple different things. A lot of business owners, and I don't blame them, and that's why we do what we do. It's like, oh man, another thing again I've got to learn. Like, geez, that. The other thing is kind of getting lost in, I think, the confusion of which software.
Yeah.
um and also there's a little bit of a, I don't want to say a miseducation, but there's a lot of information that you hear about when it comes to AI, about very specific things. You keep hearing the same things over and over again, like marketing and
Yeah.
sales, and these are very surface level things when it comes to AI.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times people don't know where to start in their AI journey. because it's moving so fast. That's one part of it. And every week you look up, you're hearing something new. There's DeepSeek and there's Gemini. Like, well, what's that? So I think if you don't know anything about this stuff, my recommendation would be to find someone to talk to as a consultant so that you can have a streamlined approach so they can kind of skip you or help kind of guide you from not going down into the weeds of AI and be in places that's going to take away more of your time than it's going to be worth for you.
Yeah.
So that's honestly what I would suggest.
Yeah, well, it is. It can just be a giant rabbit hole. And I guess the one other caveat would be that there's, AI experts are popping up like mushrooms. So
Yes, yes,
do
yes,
your due diligence and vetting because just like in sales and marketing, you can work with people who just completely mess up your business if
right.
you're not working with the right people. So, with that caveat,
Mhm.
what should our listeners do next about embracing efficiency in their business?
So the very first thing you need to do, and honestly, a lot of people don't talk about this enough. I think everything in your business is always going to be an extension of who you are at any given point in time. It's never going to be any better than you. It's never going to be any worse than you. So the very first thing to do is to honestly get your mind and your attitude right about going into um, this new chapter of business now. This is huge. You have to keep an open mind. You have to be patient with yourself. You're going to be learning some new things. You're going to have to unlearn some things. Okay. Um, and I don't know how to sugarcoat this, but it's going to be a process of you first being open and ready and at the same time patient and willing to invest either your time or your money and probably both.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where you start. And I say that because 70% of digital transformation initiatives, they fail,
Yeah.
even with the biggest of companies. And the reason why they fail is not because there's something wrong with the technology. It's
No.
nothing like that. It's people. Because like
Yeah.
I said, we haven't changed and we oftentimes don't really do that well with change. So the first thing you've got to get right is yourself. Can I add one more thing to this?
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
and that's the fact that what we do with AI and the way we approach the technology at the firm is we want the AI and we want these things to be exactly what they are, which are tools.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's very difficult, or very easy actually, to lose sight that they're just tools.
Yeah.
Our biggest thing is to make sure that these tools are working in the service of you for what matters most. In order to do that, honestly, this is where we differ from, like, just say going to an AI person who specializes in any one thing, is that we honestly have a comprehensive approach, understanding where AI should basically fall within the hierarchy of needs is that's relative to your business and
Yeah.
you as a business owner, and not basically throwing a bunch of stuff at you that you really don't need. And
Yeah.
it's not going to help move that needle. And that's what makes us different is if you're really trying to grow and scale that company, you don't want to be going down this. You can do this on your spare time if you just want to have fun, but there's a difference between doing that and doing this because you're actually thinking that this is going to help you move the needle in your company, and then you just end up right back where you started with another hat that you can halfway barely wear.
I really like that. Thank you so much, Mayo. Last thing I'd love to know, is there anything you wish that I had asked you today?
You know what? No, you're actually pretty good at this. You're very phenomenal. You've asked all the questions I probably would have asked. No, I was when you asked the question before I watched the number where it was like, what would I actually say? But no, you hit everything.
Okay. Well, woo! Well, Mayo, thank you so much for sharing Optimize and Automate, how to embrace efficiency in your business. I know that our listeners are going to want to know more about you and how they can connect with you.
Absolutely. Well, right now we're in our grand opening. We're actually offering those wonderful Blitz diagnostics. Do I have a moment to explain exactly what that does for the business, or no?
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely. Go ahead. Yeah.
So, folks, I have this thing to where I was like, you listen, if you want to start taking your business and start to transforming that and transferring it into the businesses of tomorrow, that means that's going to start with data. You've got to start using data. And a lot of times we don't have the conversation of data with AI, but you actually have to, because everything starts with that in order to leverage AI. So the diagnostic that we're offering right now, it allows you to see things about your business that you probably didn't know. A lot of folks get really surprised when they take advantage of this, and we're doing it with a voucher. Well, in conjunction with Lynn here, you wouldn't even have to pay a dime. This is only going to be until April the 12th that we're offering it for free. And just in saying thanks to Lynn for allowing us to be on the show, we're going to give you the ability to get that diagnostic for absolutely free. And listen, this is a lengthy situation to a degree that's very comprehensive. And we've had some business owners walk away and like, you know what? I didn't know that. I may be a little bit afraid now, but at least now we have a starting point. But that data, folks, that we capture in that diagnostic, we can upgrade that to that being the starting point of you creating a second brain for your business and starting to use that data to create your first customized AI that's specific to your business. And that's huge. We can get into that when you guys reach out to me. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys have that offer. And you can gain access to that by even sending me an email directly or by coming through our genzonerev.com webinar that we do, because we offer the voucher there. But this is the quickest way to get to me through Lynn.
Whoa. Well, and I put that into the chat for everyone here on the live stream. And of course, on the podcast recording, it will also be there. So please reach out to Mayo. And that's an amazing offer. And thank you so much to you, Mayo, and to all our listeners who've joined us today, because this has been a really powerful and informative discussion. And I thoroughly have enjoyed it. So, Mayo, thank you again. Thank you again for being here. It's been such a pleasure.
Same here. Thank you so much, Lynn.
Okay, I hit stop.
Okay.
Yeah, that was great. No, I mean, it was sort of funny because I did my signature talk today.